Well, Nigeria Channel 15 studio right here on Channel Television. And of course, we just might also remind you that you can be part of this program by sending us pictures as well as some information wherever you are at the moment. Let us in on what exactly is happening in your locality. Don't forget that the campaigns have been suspended till after the elections, just in case there's anyone who is not in the know. Well, it's inexcusable for you to get on the street and start campaigning. It is officially over midnight of yesterday. But again, we have a couple of other issues that have been making the rounds. That's the talk of security situation in most parts of the country. And recall Ondo was in the news, specifically for the wrong reason yesterday. And of course, leading up to this particular day, we've seen Okrika, loads and loads of violence, and even ladies have started getting to witness pockets of that. Oshodi was also in the news for the wrong reason yesterday. Shots were fired in parts of Oshodi leading up to security agencies moving in to stem that particular one. Well, joining us live in the studio to look at how much we can pay attention and handle the situation security-wise in this particular election is a retired Army Captain, Umar Aliu. Good morning and thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
We have always been talking about this leading up to this particular election. You have been talking. The Nigerian government security agencies have also been speaking. Whether that has actually gone down well with us as a people and of course as political parties and members is another thing for us to look at this morning. How would you assess the situation security-wise leading up to this particular moment?
Security-wise, as events unfold, we are beginning to see those things, the utterances and body languages of the major stakeholders seems to have promised. But then we still will not relent in making it clear to the average Nigerian, the voter, the polity. As I've said in other fora, go and vote with your head, not with your hearts. If you vote with your hearts, you will be vulnerable to those things the politicians happen, sentiments, emotion, and what have you. If you vote with your head, you're actually going to be logical, cautious, and let me say security conscious. So people should understand that whichever way, whatever way, the elections are going to take a position, one of two possible outcomes. And I think what parties should do is to begin to prepare their followers for the other outcome. Most people just go in there looking at the win-win outcome. Parties will do well to begin to prepare followers for the just in case it goes the other way. And security-wise, I think Nigerians should begin to look towards those basic things we can do before the elections, during and after the elections. Before the elections, I advise people begin to pay a little more attention to their itinerary. People should begin to pay more attention to their utterances. People should also begin to look at trying to, as much as possible, put one or two things out of the way, like posters, stickers on your vehicles. You don't go about wearing a t-shirt that is pro or anti any group before or during the elections.
That's been sensible, right?
Yes, exactly, because if you are a football fan, you will understand what I'm saying. Anywhere we go, one team will come out tops. And in such cases, we are not given to taking it properly. So at the end of the day, law enforcement agencies, military, inclusive, fine, agreed, you still have to do one or two things yourself to vouchsafe your own security. So before the elections, we look to tell people you may want to build up on your supplies at home. You may want to ensure you have those little things that you require, because you understand from the trends that Nigeria shuts down when we
go to the polls.
elections, yes.
I'm really curious, though, one of the steps the government has taken for these elections, is it absolutely necessary that we shut the borders?
It's not encouraging. Shutting down the borders itself may not be directly informed by the government. I want to believe the security agencies recommend this, shut the borders down, and that in itself is an indicator that such an agency has no resilience plan. You don't shut it down because you have to do something. If you could do a small computation of the economic implication of shutting down a border for one day, or even shutting a country down for one day, you begin to see that there is enormous. The Naira and Kobo value of that action is enormous. And other than that, there are options. There are elections security solutions that you can actually entrench and have the country run side by side its economic self, elections were electorally. But you begin to see that it's now acculturated. When we had the economic summit in Abuja sometime this year, sometime last year, the town was virtually shut down. It doesn't speak well of the security agencies. It doesn't show you are growing. You can't continue to shut a nation down because we want to vote. We should be looking to see a day when we vote and it's just as if it's just another Nigerian day. But right now we're not getting that. So I don't really see it as an encouraging thing to shut the nation down, because shutting the nation down, putting everything on hold, brings about what do you do as an ordinary citizen during the elections. During the elections, I advise, while you are at home or while you are at the polling booths, you may actually want to have what I call an alternative communication line. My alternative communication line could be a second phone or just some extra recharge card, because everything is down. So you should need to communicate with each other. If you are a polling officer, for example, and you have to leave your locality and travel, do well to just send text messages as you navigate towards your polling booth. If you are going quite a distance, like from Kaduna to Zaria, your wife can get regular text messages as you get to Mararawa, Jazi, Panamfara.
As long as you're not the one driving, I think.
Yeah, as long as you're not the one driving, but even if you were driving, periodically you could actually do that. So people can follow up on you. You don't just drop off the radar suddenly like those poor youth coppers in Bauchi during the last elections, and nobody can actually follow up and say 15 minutes ago he was at Onegari, and by this time he should be in Ibadan. He hasn't called. What's happening? Electoral officers, voters, you need to be a bit more careful. Domestic security tenets in this kind of time, we must be a bit more careful, avoid accidents.
Do you support that the military presence is deployed for these elections, or should it be strictly a police affair?
The military may play a role, but again, elections are the Nigerian police force, the SSS and the civil defenses babies. We should give these people a chance to get the required exposure they need. Bringing the military into election is not helping the police, is not helping the SSS, is not helping the military itself. So we discovered that when we bring in the military, we just actually back it with an excuse, not a reason. For me, it's an excuse.
We're yet to get the total number of security personnel being deployed to these elections, but if we're to go with the headlines of what we have on Daily Independent, 36,204 security personnel, 500 patrol vehicles for Lagos. And this is what
Lagos alone.
We understand has been deployed to Lagos. 36,000, over 36,000 security personnel, 500 patrol vehicles, APCs, 5 gunboats, 2 helicopters for Lagos alone. Some people will say that there is a thin line between ensuring that people are safe and also intimidating. Why do you think that people cross that line?
You see, security itself when it is administered in a particular way, becomes intimidating. There are ways you secure people and you tend to have an uneasy peace. Okay? Typical scenario was one of the elections where we had masked security men. I don't think that election was free and fair, because you don't go into a polling booth and the place is surrounded by masked gunmen, and you feel that free and democratic psychologically to do. You will be in a hurry to do what you want to do and leave. You only go there. Yeah, exactly.
Now, some people might not go there. Some people said, well, they felt safe because they didn't have anything to hide.
Exactly. So there will be some uneasy peace. And you see the presence of weapons and uniforms and boots and guns does not necessarily mean security. You don't feel secure in the Northeast right now, but there's a concentration of forces there.
What about those people staying on the road? Because some of the information coming to us from our correspondents who've been going around, especially those who went to Kano and of course in Katsina, and they say army, police, even the NDLEA and a couple of other secret agencies were on the road checking vehicles before they move into different states and out of such states. Isn't that good enough?
That's okay. If we should involve the military, they should be on the periphery, not in the heart, exactly in the heart of it. If the military assists in ensuring that movements across the trunks that link our roads, our states, are monitored, that's more like it, because don't forget, we are having elections and there's also another threat that is looming, the issue of terrorism.
We'll come back to that and look at that extensively and look at some of the issues you've just highlighted, talking about what is expected even within the domestic, what we want to call domestic security, especially now that we know that the DSS has also released a report saying that, look, even when you're there voting, you should also keep watch around yourselves. But now let's go to this particular talk from the Commissioner of Police, who's been reading out some do's and don'ts on election day.
Okay.